Welcome to a short video summary of the Hisense HE65K5510. You can read the full in-depth review via the link in the description or by clicking the info button at the top right of the screen. The K5510 is an edge-lit LED LCD TV. It uses a flat Ultra HD 4K panel and it supports high dynamic range, specifically HDR TV. It sits in the middle of Hisense's TV range for this year and it retails for around £899. In terms of its design, it's a very minimalist appearance. There's just a glossy black bezel around the screen itself. This is 1 cm wide at the top and at the sides and 3 cm wide along the bottom. Also along the bottom you'll find the Hisense logo, and beneath that an illuminated V that's off when the TV's on and on when the TV's off. This is actually quite a nice feature. Otherwise, there's nothing else to really see in terms of the design of the TV, apart from its metallic feet. These are about 131 centimeters wide, so you'll need a surface at least that large on which to place the TV, although you do also have the option to wall mount it, and there are Visa mounts, 400 by 400 mounts on the rear of the TV. In terms of the connections, these are on the left-hand side as you face the television, and here you'll find a number of rearwards and sideways facing connections. The rearwards facing connections include a number of legacy inputs, as well as an Ethernet port, or there's also built-in Wi-Fi. And there are 2 HDMI 2.0A inputs with support for HDCP 2.2. In terms of the sideways facing inputs, you have the Freeview HD tuner, also a satellite tuner, there's a CI slot, there are 3 USB ports, and there's also 2 more HDMI inputs, but these are HDMI 1.4 with support for HDCP 1.4. In terms of the remote control, it's a very classic Hisense design, comfortable to hold, easy to use with one hand, and it has all the buttons you'll need, including direct access to Netflix and YouTube, and overall we really like this remote control. In terms of the platform itself, it's very simple, but it has a number of options down the left-hand side of the screen, and you can scroll through them to select what you want. So starting at the bottom, we have inputs, then you also have recommendations, then you have a media player, then you have the App Store, and finally you have the premium content, which includes Netflix, Amazon, YouTube, and BBC iPlayer. In terms of the input lag in game mode, we measured it at 32 milliseconds, which should be fast enough for all but the most demanding of gamers. However, in the other picture modes, it was a bit higher, around 50 milliseconds. In terms of the testing, as always, we used our calibration equipment, which includes a Klein K10A color meter, the Meridio Fresco 6G pattern generator, and Calman calibration software. In terms of the grayscale performance, it was actually pretty good out of the box. There was a little bit too much blue at the higher end of the scale, but actually overall the errors weren't too bad, and the gamma was tracking around our target of 2.4. The TV has a 2 and a 10-point white balance control, so it was actually very easy to get a very accurate grayscale and a nice accurate gamma as well. So overall, excellent performance there. In terms of the colour accuracy, out of the box, again, pretty good. Some minor errors caused by the grayscale, but once we calibrated that, the colour accuracy was actually very good, with all the colours tracking their targets very well against Rec. 709. So again, a very impressive colour performance. In terms of the HDR performance, it was again very impressive for a TV at this price point. As you can see, the grayscale was tracking very well, and the gamma was tracking the PQ-EOTF very closely, so that was excellent. And in terms of its colour performance, again, very impressive. Although the colour gamut isn't that wide, it's only 55% of Rec. 2020, so around 80% of DCI P3. I mean, there are TVs with much wider colour gamuts, but what is important is that it tracked within its colour gamut very accurately. So up to limitations of the TV's native colour gamut, it tracked both Rec. 2020 and DCI P3 within Rec. 2020 very well. So overall, an impressive performance from this TV for both Rec. 709 standard dynamic range content and also high dynamic range content with Rec. 2020. Actually watching content on the TV, again, very impressive. Has a nice even backlight. There was some minor bright edges sometimes, particularly at night in the dark, but overall the backlight uniformity was excellent. And in terms of its colour accuracy, obviously very good, nice natural colours, the motion handling was good, bags of detail, excellent upscaling for content that wasn't 4K, and overall it was a really good performance with standard dynamic range content. And again, despite the fact it was only measuring around 350 nits, again thanks to the accurate colour performance and the good tracking against the PQ-EOTF, actually the HDR performance was really good. So we had an impressive SDR performance and a very impressive HDR performance. When you consider the price point on this TV, £899, I mean, there's no question that the Hisense HE65K5510 is an obvious candidate for an AV Forum's Best Buy badge. Thanks for watching.